You're either gonna humble yourself or find yourself humbled. It only goes one or two ways. We take our blessings for granted. We're arrogant. We're boastful. It's only a matter of time before it catch up with you.
You need people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers.
What's going on, people? I'm pretty sure you're familiar with this already. I just want to give my own take on what's going on with Dame Dash. But if you're not familiar, I do have something that I want to share with you. And afterwards, I'm just going to go ahead and share my thoughts. I just think that this particular story is another testimony in itself that kind of explains what happens when you live for the wrong reasons, when you're flashy, when your folly supersedes reason and logic, when you don't have financial literacy. If you know, you know. But this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and jump right into this clip from the Breakfast Club, and we're just gonna go from there. I'm gonna give my thoughts on it, and y'all let me know in the comment section how you feel about it, or do you even care about the position that Mr. Dash is in?
Ownership of several of his companies and film copyrights to pay off a debt from a lawsuit.
No.
Damn, yo.
Yes. Y'all remember we were talking about like the money that Dame Dash owed. There was a ton of different things.
Yes.
Child support. There was like a lawsuit between him and a filmmaker named Josh Weber.
Mm-hmm.
So the taxes and all that stuff. Remember they did the auction and they were trying to figure out how they want to pay each other. So a part of that was this filmmaker's lawsuit. And the auction went down. Dame Dash lost his 1/3 stake in Rockefeller, but this filmmaker was not paid. There wasn't enough money to cover the debt that Dame Dash allegedly owes to him, right? So there's a little over $800,000 that is due, and a judge is basically saying that Dame has to give up several companies, including Dash Films, and copyrights to several movies, including Honor Up and Too Honorable, in order to get this paid.
I seen everybody laughing, and I would say this: you don't laugh.
Don't
you
laugh,
learn.
learn. Don't laugh,
you
learn.
right? And I told you guys years ago, Charlamagne and myself said a long time ago, entrepreneurship is amazing, right?
But it's hard.
But having a job is not a bad thing. Stability ain't a weakness. It could be a strategy. So don't think if you have a job, you can't be an entrepreneur as well. You can do both. Like I said, stability is not a weakness. It's a strategy to do the things that you want to do. And don't laugh at Dame Dash. You can learn from it.
And I will say salute to everybody who was motivated by the interview Dame Dash did up here on the Breakfast Club 10 years ago. But, you know, when you talk about being your own boss, when you talk about ownership, all those conversations are great. But Dame never really gave a blueprint to do it, you know? And I wonder for those who were inspired by that convo 10 years ago, how do you feel now seeing the situation Dame is in? Or do you just take the message and not listen to the messenger? Because I think over the last decade, there has been a lot of people who have told you how to do it, correct?
Yeah.
As opposed to just telling you to do it. It's one thing to say, be your own boss, quit your job, you don't need to work for nobody, you know, your boss is your daddy, my son sells cookies, all of that is cool. But, you know, you still have to give like a blueprint on how to do that. And I think over the last decade, we've seen these conversations of financial literacy grow in our communities, and people have given you some blueprints.
Great conversations, but like you said, it's if you don't know how, just you have to learn, and sometimes being stable is not a weakness, right? Getting your monthly check and having health insurance is not a weakness. It should be a strategy to get to where you need to be.
Or listen to people who actually have successful businesses.
Correct.
So here's my thing, right? If you weren't taught how to properly invest your time and your money into things that's going to make you more money while also having some sense of self-awareness, you don't need 30,000 chains. You don't need an entire room dedicated to shoes two closets dedicated to suits, and then the other closet dedicated to street and urban wear. You don't need three garages full of cars. You don't need all that stuff. It's a privilege and it's a blessing if you are able to afford it, but only if you are able to afford it and you have a sustainable income that's coming in based on the need and demand for the product that you are putting out there. What I always recognize within these these establishments with artists and producers, and they go through this this time frame where you see them the flashiest that they could ever be. You see them with the cars, you see them traveling, you see them taking poses and photos, and they do interviews and they on a red carpet and they're in front of the camera just lighting it up. They live in the dream. They own boats. They jet skiing, and me looking at it with my Payless shoes and $2 necklaces that ain't worth nothing and turn your neck green. I'm sitting back watching like, damn, man, one day I could be this person. But then you got to remember the jealousy that comes with it, the clout chasers that come attached to it, the ego and the pride that ends up coming into effect. Shout out to Sydney because she brought up a good point about what happens to a person who makes over a certain amount of money. They become like desensitized to humans or something like that. You don't have the same humility that you did before you came into all of that notoriety. And I think with Dame Dash, as much as he's trying to save face and he doesn't really want to admit that a lot of the reason he's in the positions that he's in is because of poor decisions and choices with his money and where he actually laid his head. That's going to bite him in the foot. I have no jokes for you. I could never laugh at somebody like that. I just think it's interesting how people act so surprised that these folks struggle, even though we know social media is designed to make you see things a way that it's not really always.
Because we have a genre of people who are making money, telling people how to make money.
But the thing
that can't be the business.
But the thing is, you got to know who's really doing it, right? Because we all thought Dame was really doing it.
That's
right?
why I love John O'Brien.
You see John O'Brien,
That's
and
right.
then you see things like when I seen TDE the other day, and he was talking about, you know what, I jumped on a Spirit flight from LA to Vegas to get to the show. Right. It only cost me $99. If I'd have flew private, it would have been $12,000. He got it, but he's smart with it.
Hey, John Hope Bryant, Don Peebles, Cheryl McKissick, Tyler Perry. I'm listening to people who actually have businesses. You know what I'm saying? Who can tell me how to build that.
Hove.
Yes, I don't like. I tried. I didn't want to say Tyler or Hove just because they're the entertainers. That's why I said Cheryl, Don, and.
But a lot of them came from
John O'Brien.
Like we seen Hove where he came from and what he's done. So Tyler Perry the same.
And I felt like that just a stab saying Hove right now at a time like that.
Oh,
damn! I didn't even think about it like that.
I think.
Say it again, Jeff.
No, I didn't.
Damn.
No, I didn't.
All right. Did they say anything about the cookies?
Yo, shut up, man. That.
Yeah, I'm not here to go into none of his beefs or any of his stuff, but I do want to play this one though, because he wanted to kind of explain a little bit for why he's in a position he's in, and I honestly think it's just a part of him saving face, to be honest with you, because it don't make sense to me, but maybe it makes sense to you.
Somebody asked me how I got so broke. Investing in my dreams. When you're investing in your dreams and you dream big, you're always going to be broke. You'll have a lot of shit, but I don't have no money for nobody else. That's what you call broke. But that's what it is.
I would absolutely not take any advice from him saying no shit like that. I'm sorry. Nothing like that. No, you don't go broke. You spend as if you're broke. You don't go out here buying everything that you can't afford and then still try to pursue something that you are trying to accomplish. I give you an example. I will invest in my equipment that I use to record and do these shows with before I go out here and buy a $100, $200 pair of shoes. Fuck no. The only thing that I'm going to spend money on is deodorant, socks, underwear, and food. Everything else is going to go into my equipment. It's going to go into me trying to make sure my production is straight. Make sure that when I do these recordings and have these conversations live, that I can do it successfully without hiccups. Tell y'all real quick, the reason why over the last couple of weeks you may have noticed a change in my presentation is because I had to sacrifice. And I really mean I had to sacrifice. I had to take what I would have put on food and I had to invest it into a better laptop because the one that I had prior to this was not allowing me to do these reviews and reactions the way that I'm doing them so smoothly now. That to me is pursuing your dream, chasing your dream, investing in something that's going to do something for you in return. What he's referring to me, in my opinion, is I'm going to look good and still go off and spend money that should really have just all gone to this over here. But I want to look good and flash because nah, no, sorry. I think his attitude and his mindset in that particular clip right there is a lot of reasons why he's behind in child support and he's in debt as much as he's in bad business deals, dealing with the wrong people. To me, is just another testimony of what not to do. If you ever come into this, you don't need to be flashy. You don't need to be showing everybody that you don't have to prove nothing to nobody. Make your money in silence. Let your content speak for itself. And keep that humbleness. And I think he forgot about that part. So he says he got stuff that's there that's not making the money yet, but he sees it making the money yet. I understand more than anyone about having a vision of something, doing something that you believe in, but nobody else is. I get that. So for all it's worth, I hope you rise to the occasion and you bounce back and you don't ever find yourself in this hole again. That's
Merry Christmas, filthy